Hello guys, good evening. Welcome back to the Power of Ideas. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for all the love you have given to me in the last Likhita analysis video. It was a great response from you guys that has motivated me to come up with another video in another sector, that is the glass sector. Today we will be analyzing a different company which is in glass sector and engaged in the manufacture of container glasses. So the name of the company is Haldane Glass Limited. This is a company which has been listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. This company was incorporated in 1991 and listed in 1995. IPO was released in the year of 1995. So we can say that this company is having an experience of more than 20 years in the field of manufacturing of glass containers. This company is promoted by a company in the name of Haldane Corporation Limited, which is in the same field for more than 50 years. Haldane Corporation Limited was incorporated in the year of 1964. Haldane Glass Limited has its clients in different fields, that is the pharmaceuticals, the liquor, the FMCG and the cosmetics division. Haldane Glass Limited is also the fifth largest manufacturer of glass containers in India. When we talk about the manufacturing capability of this company has a manufacturing capability, a melting capacity of 320 tons of material in a day. That is, this company can melt 320 tons of a material in a day to produce glass containers and can produce up to 1.5 million high quality containers in one day. So this was a brief introduction about the company. Now what we are going to cover in this video is that we will be understanding the glass sector in an entirety. A broader view of the glass sector will be taken, and then a broader view of those sectors which also affect the manufacturing of glass sector will also be taken, such as the liquor industry will also be understood, the pharma industry will also be understood, and the cosmetics and FMCG industry shall also be understood, because the business in these sectors can be impacting the business in the glass sector. So we'll be understanding the glass sector, the other related sectors, then peer-to-peer comparison of Haldane Glass Limited shall be done, and then after that a fundamental analysis which shall be including the balance sheet, the profit and loss account, the cash flow statements, the annual report, the auditor's report will be done. Lastly, we will be going through the technical charts of this company and we will be giving a conclusion on this company analysis. So this will be a power pack video which you will surely like it. So kindly bear with us till the end to get an immense power pack knowledge. So let us start. Now the first question which comes to our mind is that why only glass? Why not the other packaging material like plastic or other metals and all? Why glass only? To answer this, if I say that you should be preferring glass over other materials, packaging materials, or if I say that glass is the safest, you won't agree to that, as it won't sound much convincing. I need to give you some facts and figure to convince you for that. For that purpose only, a federation in the name of AIGMF, All India Glass Manufacturing Federation, was formed. This federation is a group of 63 companies in the same sector of glass industry, in every segment of glass industry, which might include the container glasses, the construction glasses, the decorative glasses. Means every company which is engaged in the manufacture of any glass instrument in this country will be part of AIGMF. This federation is divided into 5 different regions, such as the western, northern, eastern, etc. So what was the basic objective of making this federation was to make it understand to the stakeholders that what are the benefits of glass sector, what can be the environmental impacts of manufacturing of glass, and what are the benefits of usage of glass. But if they also say it by words only that glass is the best thing which is available for packing, we won't be convinced by that. They also need to put some figures and facts on table to convince us. And if those companies make this kind of statement, it can be also biased. So to remove that biasness, a third party was engaged, which was a German consultancy company in the name of ThinkStep Sustainability Solutions Private Limited. This company is a German consultancy company which is engaged and having expertise in the field of conducting such studies to ascertain the environmental impact of the glass industry in India. This company, the ThinkStep Sustainability Solutions company, has also done LCAs, which is life cycle assessment, in the past also for other glass federations in Europe and North American countries. So this company, the consultancy company, is having a vast experience of doing such kind of studies where they understand the entire process from the starting of the manufacturing of glass to the end of the glass when a glass product is finally manufactured and again to recycling. So they understand the entire process starting from A to Z. They understand everything. They understand the environmental impacts. Because it is done from the start till the end, this is also called cradle to cradle study, cradle to cradle life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessment is LCA, life cycle assessment. Why it's called cradle to cradle? Because a cradle is like handling an infant. तो दे स्टार्ट फ्रॉम एन इन्फेंट स्टेज ऑफ ग्लास मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंटिल द लास्ट स्टेज, जब वो रिसाइकिल के लिए दोबारा जाता है तो उसको पूरा क्रेडल टू क्रेडल असेसमेंट करती है ये थिंकस्टेप सस्टेनेबिलिटी सॉल्यूशंस कंपनी। तो ये अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं कि इन्वायरमेंट पे क्या क्या इम्पैक्ट हुए और क्या क्या इनकी स्टडीज़ में निकल के आया, हम आगे समझते हैं। ये जो LCA की स्टडी हुई, द LCA स्टडी डन बाय थिंकस्टेप सस्टेनेबिलिटी सॉल्यूशन वाज डन लास्ट इन द ईयर ऑफ 2018. Before that, it was done in the year of 2012. It included from the transportation of raw material till the final manufacturing of glasses and then the recycling. Means from the very start till the end, it included everything to understand the environmental impact of making glass in India. What are the environmental impact? किस environment पे किस जगह पे कहाँ में impact होता है due to usage of glass industry in India, वो हमें इस study से पता लगा. Now for conducting this study, a 1 kg container glass was taken as a sample. On 1 kg container glass, every environmental study was done. So now let us understand the study conducted by ThinkStep Sustainability Solutions Private Limited. This study tried to analyze the environmental impact which the glass manufacturing industries have in India. They did a comparative analysis of the study done in 2012 and compared that with the study done in 2017. They had 6-7 parameters to consider the environmental impact. They calculated the figures in 2012 and compared them with 2017 to understand the impact which the glass manufacturing companies have in India on the environment. So पहला पैरामीटर था एसिडिफिकेशन पोटेंशियल। अब एसिडिफिकेशन पोटेंशियल है क्या? एसिडिफिकेशन पोटेंशियल इज कि जब एक कंपनी एक गार्बेज एक वेस्टेज निकालती है एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर, तो व्हाट इज़ द पोटेंशियल ऑफ इट एसिडिफाइंग द एनवायरनमेंट, जिसकी वजह से एसिड रेन जैसी चीज़ें हमें देखने को मिलती हैं। तो उन्होंने जब कंपेयर किया विद द 2012 स्टडी एज कम्पेयर टू 2017, दे फाउंड दैट द एसिडिफिकेशन पोटेंशियल विच वॉज देयर इन 2012 इट वॉज 0.0083 which reduced to 0.0056. That means the acidification potential which was there in 2012 reduced to 2017. You can see the comparatives on your screen also, but I am just reading out for you. The next was eutrophication potential. Eutrophication potential was another parameter which measures that what are the nutrients, the excessive nutrients when are removed into the environment by these industries can harm the water bodies. जैसे कि वो algae, वो काई वगैरह जम जाती है जो ग्रीन कलर की वाटर्स के जम जाती है, तो that contaminate the water bodies. अब इसका पोटेंशियल क्या था 2012 में, 2017 में they considered that. In 2012 the potential was 0.006 and it reduced to 0.003. So it also reduced, the eutrophication potential also reduced, which means that the environmental impact with the glass manufacturing companies have in India reduced as compared to 2012 to 2017. ठीक है. The third parameter was global warming potential. Global warming potential, as we all understand, it also reduced from 1.09 to 0.58. The next study was human toxicity potential. Human toxicity potential also reduced from 2012, which was 0.19, in 2017, which reduced to 0.09. So we can see here also there was a 50% reduction in the impact on the environment. The fifth parameter to consider the environmental analysis of glass manufacturing was photochemical ozone creation potential, which also reduced from 0.003 to 0.002. The sixth parameter was terrestrial ecotoxicity potential, which reduced from 0.0026 to 0.0011. And the last, the energy demand. The energy which was consumed at that time was 13.6 per kg of the container glass being considered for study, which reduced to 7.7. So what we found after the study that the environmental impact of glass manufacturing industry was reducing. So this was one of the positive thing which came out of the study, that the environmental impact, जो भी glass एक environmental impact करता है उसकी manufacturing, वो reduce हो रही थी environment के ऊपर, and that is the foremost thing which every industry need to see in these days because we are facing very environmental difficulties. तो ये एक foremost thing है जिससे government legislations भी प्रमोट करेंगे, जो इंडस्ट्री environment को कम impact करेंगी, that will be more promoted. After that, the end of life study was also done by ThinkStep Solutions Private Limited. Means after the glass has been manufactured, we have considered the manufacturing process, the environmental impacts. Now when the glass has been manufactured, what are the impacts it had in 2012 and what are the impacts it will have in 2017 after the manufacture? Let us see that. The first parameter to consider that was that the recycling at the time of 2012, at the time of processes being followed in 2012, the recycling rate was 32%. Means if 100% of the glass is to be recycled, only 32% was able to be recycled out of that. But that increased to 45% during the study done in 2017. Mean that the processes being adopted in 2012 were advanced to a certain level so that the recycle rate was increased from 32% to 45%. Another parameter was reuse. Reuse. What is the reuse parameters of glass? In 2012, 30% of the glass which was to be recycled can be reused. But as per the study done in 2017, it increased to 35%. The last parameter which was considered by this consultancy company was landfill. In 2012, it resulted into a landfill of the glass dumping resulting into a landfill of 38%. And now it has reduced to 20%. Means every process which was being used in 2012 was improved so that it can have a minimum impact on the environment and also at the end of life, which we just explained. We have understood the figures and facts behind that the environmental impact has reduced. Now we should also know that why the environmental impact has reduced, why all the figures such as like acidification potential, eutrophication potential, terrestrial ecotoxicity potential, why they have reduced. We need to understand that also. So there were three broad parameters which explained that why the environmental impacts have reduced. The first was reduction in fuel and energy consumption. There was a reduction in the fuel and energy consumption, that is in the melting process. Earlier during 2012, consumption of fuels like heavy fuel oil, liquefied petroleum gas and natural gas was done, which reduced to 20%, 14% and 19% respectively in the year 2017. Means if we are using a certain amount of natural gas or other fuels in 2012, it reduced by 20%, 14% and 19% respectively in 2017. And if we consider the non-melting process, there also the energy consumption, the fuel consumption reduced significantly. You can see the figures on your screen right now. The other reason for decrease in the environmental impact was because with the increase in the recycling rate, which we discussed few minutes ago, that the recycling rate increased, so that also reduced in the reduction in the environmental impact, because the more amount of glass that can be recycled, it will be having lesser impact on the environment. The third reason why the environmental impact reduced was that the increase in reuse rate. The reuse rate also increased. Means if earlier 30% of the glass could have been reused, now 35% of the glass was capable of being reused, which also resulted in the reduction of environmental impact. So these were some facts and figures which told us that the environmental impact of glass manufacturing has significantly reduced from 2012 to 2017, and it is having a lesser impact on the environment, thus favoring this industry to grow in India, both by the legislation and other stakeholders. Now, after doing this national comparison of the environmental analysis, let us now do an international comparison. We will be making this comparison with some of the countries where the glass demand is on a higher note as compared to India. We will be making this comparison with North America. Now let us make an international comparison of the global warming potential of the glass manufacturing in India and with other countries such as North America. In North America, the companies which are working in the glass industries have a potential of global warming of 1.25, whereas in India, the potential of global warming by the companies was 1.09 in the year 2012, which has further reduced to 0.58 to 2017. So by this we understand that the companies in India are having a lesser bad impact on the environment as compared to the companies in the other countries such as North America. This is basically due to reduction in the energy consumption during the processes. The energy being consumed in India is lesser than the energy being consumed in North America. So this is also a positive thing which invites various foreign companies to set up their. Now these were some facts and figures which I explained before you. Now let us understand some of the characteristics of glass. What are the basic characteristics of glass? Now glass being the most eco-friendly and recycled product, we understand that there are various benefits associated with the glass. Let us now talk one by one of the various characteristics of a glass. Glass has multiple benefits and it has a benefit of not contaminating the products which are kept in the container. आपने बहुत बार देखा होगा कि अगर कोई हम सामान, कोई भी खाने की चीज़ किसी प्लास्टिक कंटेनर में रखते हैं तो उसकी स्मेल में, उसके टेस्ट में, उसके टेक्सचर में फ़र्क पड़ जाता है. बट जब हम उसी चीज़ को किसी ग्लास कंटेनर में रखते हैं तो उसमें फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता, उसके टेस्ट में, उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज़ में फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है. सो दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट बेनिफिट विच इज़ अ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ ग्लास कि अगर हम ग्लास के कंटेनर में कुछ भी रखेंगे तो वो इतनी जल्दी कंटामिनेट नहीं होता है, इतनी जल्दी ख़राब नहीं होता है. द सेकेंड इज़ प्रीमियम लुक. अगर हम प्लास्टिक कंटेनर्स को या मेटल कंटेनर्स को ग्लास कंटेनर्स के साथ कंपेयर करें तो वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट ग्लास के कंटेनर्स की जो लुक है वो मेटल या प्लास्टिक के कंटेनर्स की लुक से ज़्यादा बढ़िया आती है. द थर्ड इज़ इको फ्रेंडली नेचर. वी अंडरस्टैंड, जो हमने पिछली स्लाइड्स में भी देखा है कि द इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ग्लास मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इज़ वेरी लो एंड इसका रिसाइकल वेट एंड लैंडफिल वेट काफ़ी अच्छा है एज़ कम्पेयर टू अदर कंट्रीज एज वेल, और हमारे इंडिया की स्टडी से भी काफ़ी अच्छा है. तो ये इको फ्रेंडली है, तो दिस इज़ वाई ग्लास इज़ प्रेफर्ड अबव अदर पैकिंग मटीरियल. And the very important thing about glass is that it can be recycled indefinitely. मतलब अगर आप एक ग्लास को रिसाइकिल करना चाहते हैं तो आप एक ग्लास को इनडेफिनेटली रिसाइकिल कर सकते हैं. अगर एक बार टूट गया दोबारा रिसाइकिल हो जाएगा, दोबारा टूट गया दोबारा रिसाइकिल हो जाएगा. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस बेनिफिट्स ऑफ अ ग्लास इंडस्ट्री एंड अ यूजर ऑफ ग्लास, इट इज़ बीइंग प्रमोटेड बाय लेजिस्लेटिव एंड गवर्नमेंट्स ऑल्सो. इतने सारे बेनिफिट्स होने की वजह से गवर्नमेंट भी इसे प्रमोट करती है, गवर्नमेंट भी इसे इनिशिएटिव देती है, एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो गिव वेरियस स्कीम्स टू प्रमोट दिस सेक्टर इन इंडिया. अब हमने ये बात तो समझी कि रिसाइकलेबल है, ये ईजिली कोई चीज़ों को कंटामिनेट नहीं करता है, बट व्हाट इज़ द रीज़न बिहाइंड इट, कंटामिनेट क्यों नहीं करता है. अगर हम एक साइड प्लास्टिक की बात करें जो कि बहुत इंडिया में ऑलमोस्ट बैन हो चुका है, ग्लास नहीं हुआ है, तो व्हाट इज़ द बेसिक डिफरेंस. प्लास्टिक में बहुत सारे ऐसी केमिकल्स जलते हैं जो हमारे प्रोडक्ट के साथ, जो हम प्रोडक्ट को उस कंटेनर में रखते हैं उसके साथ इंटरेक्ट करके उसको स्पॉइल करते हैं. बट ग्लास इज मेड अप ऑफ सैंड एंड लाइमस्टोन, वो नेचुरल सब्सटेंसेस से बना हुआ है, तो उसका रिएक्शन विद द कंटेंट्स इज वेरी लेस. सो ग्लास इज प्रेफर्ड अबव ऑल द पैकेजिंग मटीरियल. तो दीज आर सम ऑफ द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ अ ग्लास इंडस्ट्री एंड यूजेज ऑफ ग्लास ओवर अदर पैकिंग मटीरियल. इसलिए आज की डेट में सब ग्लास को ही प्रेफर करते हैं. मोर देन 75% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन प्रेफर ग्लास एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ स्टेज. और हमें ये भी पता है कि प्लास्टिक्स जो हैं, अगर हम उसमें प्लास्टिक में कोई बहुत ज़्यादा गर्म चीज़ डाल देते तो प्लास्टिक कैन मेल्ट, बट ग्लासेस डोंट मेल्ट. इसलिए वो कोई भी किसी भी चीज़ की प्रॉपर्टी ख़राब नहीं करते हैं. इट इज़ नॉट कैंसरियस, इट इज़ नॉट हार्मफुल टू द बॉडी. ग्लास इज द बेस्ट सब्स्टिट्यूट एज कंसिडर टू प्लास्टिक ड्यू टू इट्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड ड्यू टू द रॉ मटेरियल बीइंग यूज्ड इन ग्लासेस. Now let us understand the benefits of recycling. One is the energy and cost saving. When a glass is recycled तो उसमें काम कम करना पड़ता है, तो इसलिए हमारी एनर्जी एंड कॉस्ट सेविंग बहुत होती है ग्लास की रिसाइकलिंग से. द सेकेंड इज रिडक्शन इन वाटर एंड एयर पोल्यूशन. बिकॉज कोई भी वेस्ट, कोई भी जो ग्लास का वेस्ट होगा, जो ग्लास के टुकड़े होंगे, जब उसको हम रिसाइकिल कर लेंगे तो दैट इज़ नॉट लेट आउट इन द इन्वायरमेंट, जिससे हमारी वाटर एंड एयर पोल्यूशन रिड्यूस हो जाएगी. उसका रिडक्शन इन स्पेस ऑफ लैंडफिल्स. बट ऑब्वियसली व्हेन द ग्लास इज रिसाइकल्ड तो हमें उसे कहीं भी दबाना, लैंडफिल नहीं करना पड़ेगा, जिससे हमारी रिडक्शन इन लैंडफिल भी होगी, विच इज़ गुड फॉर द इन्वायरमेंट. द फोर्थ इज इट ऑल्सो मिटिगेट द क्लाइमेट चेंज. जब लेस एनर्जी कंज्यूम होगी, लेस ऑफ फ्यूल कंज्यूम होगा, तो लेस वेस्टेज बाहर इन्वायरमेंट में निकलेगी, बट ऑल्सो विल enhance the environment. Then last is saving of natural resources. Because glass का recycle stage इतना अच्छा है, तो it will lead to all these benefits which are associated with the glass industry. Now big question, what is the threat of entrance in this sector? Till now we understood the glass sector is a growing sector due to its lesser environmental impacts. The legislations are promoting it and it has various other advantages as compared to the other packing material. So whether there will be any threat of entrance in this sector or not? Yes, this is one of the biggest threat in this industry, that there is a threat of new entrants in this sector, which is also a shortcoming of this sector, that if we invest in a company which is engaged in this sector, it is a possibility that in future a new company, a new competitor comes into market and which may affect the business of the company in which we are invested into. So this is also one of the important point which we need to keep in mind while investing in any company. So now let us sum up everything. अभी तो हमने जो सीखा उसे sum up करते हैं. We understood that glass is the most recyclable component. It is 100% can be recycled and can be used indefinitely. The collection of glass being done in India is 45%. 45% of the glass bottles being supplied in various ways, like by liquor or by cosmetics, is being collected because it can be recycled. 75% of the Indians prefer glass due to its various benefits, which we already explained. So this was all about the glass sector, which we understand. Let us now conclude our understanding of the glass sector, which we understood that glass sector, it is a highly recyclable sector. It has various benefits. It has lesser impact on the environment due to its recycle rate. So there is also a threat of entrance in the sector. Now let us proceed with the studies further. No study is complete till the time we don't evaluate its opportunities and threats. Now, as a part of opportunity, we all know that there is a trade war going between China and US and other countries. The relationship with China getting spoiled day by day. So this can be treated as a big opportunity for Indian companies to capture this sector and to expand its businesses all over India and other countries, to make a remarkable position in the India and in other countries as well, because the relationship with China are getting spoiled. So this is also an opportunity for the Indian companies to expand their businesses. So this is one of the opportunity which the glass sector companies are having at this point of time. Now let us understand the threats. Like explained earlier also, there is a threat of new entrants because this sector is very attractive due to its lesser manufacturing environmental impacts and the reuse rate of glass. The raw materials are also easily available, which are sand and limestone. So this is one of the biggest threat which one need to consider while investing in a glass sector. Now, as we have completed a brief study of the glass sector, but it won't be complete till the time we analyze the sectors जिसमें glass industry companies अपने products बेचती हैं. To understand that, we need to understand the clients of this particular company, Haldane Glass Limited. Haldane Glass Limited की every sectors में clients हैं, जैसे कि the liquor industry, the pharma industry, the cosmetic industry and the FMCG industry. Let us name a certain clients जिसको ये Haldane Glass Limited अपने products sell off करती है. The names are United Spirits, which is an alcohol industry, Pernod Ricard, which is a French company which is also an alcohol industry. इनके कुछ फेमस ब्रांड्स हैं, शिवास रीगल, एब्सोल्यूट वोडका, बैलेंटाइन्स वगैरह. रेगुलर ड्रिंकर्स के मुंह में पानी नहीं आना चाहिए सुन के. उसके बाद अगली जो मेजर इंडस्ट्री में ये करता है वो दैट इज़ एजेंटा फार्मा, दैट इज़ अ फार्मा इंडस्ट्री. देन कैपिटल फूड्स विच इज़ इन FMCG इंडस्ट्री, हमदर्द, ADF फूड्स विच इज़ इन FMCG इंडस्ट्री, टॉप्स विच इज़ ऑल्सो इन FMCG इंडस्ट्री. सो इन नाम्स को पढ़ के हमें ये समझ आया कि जो इसके क्लाइंट्स हैं हल्दाइन ग्लास लिमिटेड के, वो बेसिकली FMCG, अल्कोहल एंड फार्मा इंडस्ट्री में ज़्यादा है. तो जब तक हम ग्लास इंडस्ट्री के साथ साथ, ग्लास सेक्टर के साथ साथ इन इंडस्ट्रीज की एक एनालिसिस नहीं कर लेंगे, टिल दैट टाइम आवर एनालिसिस वोंट बी कंप्लीट. सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द फार्मा सेक्टर, द लिकर सेक्टर एंड द FMCG सेक्टर एज वेल, द ग्रोथ इनिशिएटिव्स इन दो सेक्टर एंड द फ्यूचर ऑफ दो सेक्टर एज वेल. तभी हमें हल्दाइन ग्लास लिमिटेड की ग्रोथ का पता लगेगा. अगर वो सेक्टर्स ग्रो नहीं करेंगे तो हल्दाइन ग्लास लिमिटेड कैन ऑल्सो नॉट ग्रो. Now let us understand the growth of alcohol industry in India, because that is also very important to understand the sales prospect of Haldane Glass Limited, because if the alcohol industry will grow, then only the sales of Haldane Glass Limited can increase. Alcohol has been one of the largest sector in India which is growing at a very fast pace. उसके कुछ reasons है उसके background में. Those are, India is a young population. Approximately 55% of the population by 2025 will be of age of 25 years. 55% population 2025 तक 25 साल की एवरेज होगी. मतलब अगर बात की जाए पूरे ऑल ओवर इंडिया में तो 55% लोग ऐसे होंगे, 55% लोग ऐसे होंगे जो 25 साल के होंगे आज से आने वाले 5 सालों बाद. We also know that the disposable incomes of the population are rising. From people who save, now the peoples are turning to people who spend. पहले सेविंग ज़्यादा होती थी, अब लोगों ने खर्चना, अब लोगों ने स्पेंड करना ज़्यादा शुरू कर दिया है. सो दिस इज़ अ पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट फॉर द अल्कोहल इंडस्ट्री. The industry has been grown at a rate of 12% CAGR since 2001, making it one of the fastest growing industry in the world. Same for the beer segment. In the last 5 years, it has shown a steady growth at a rate of 7% per year from the last 5 years. As per the study done by Sisson, The beer industry is expected to grow at a CAGR of 7.6% during the period 2018 to 2024. Now, what is Cision Limited? Cision Limited is a public relation and earned media software company and service provider. As per this study, the beer industry will also grow from 2018 to 2024 at a CAGR of 7.6%. Now, what we understood that alcohol is the largest growing industry in this world. Now, if the future prospects of alcohol industries are positive, it is also positive for Haldane Glass Limited, because if the alcohol industry will grow, the demand for bottles will increase, and so the sale for Haldane Glass Limited can also increase in the coming future. अब इन सब के अलावा कुछ फिगर्स हैं मेरे पास जो मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहूँगा, जिससे आपको क्लियर हो जाएगा कि व्हाट विल बी द फ्यूचर ऑफ अल्कोहल इंडस्ट्री. As per World Health Organization, every individual consumes about 6.2 liters of alcohol per year, which was 5.7 liters in the year 2016 and 4.3 liters in 2010. So, consumption per individual has increased, which signifies that the alcohol industry is growing in India. On the basis of per capita consumption, India is ranked 101 in the whole world. Apart from that, about a third of the India's population consume alcohol on regular basis. One third of the population consumes alcohol on regular basis, and 11% of them, of the regular consumption people, 11% of them are moderate or heavy drinkers. मतलब एक 1/3 of the people consume alcohol on regular basis. उसमें से 11% ऐसे हैं जो heavy drinkers हैं, moderate to heavy drinkers हैं. India is one of the fastest growing alcohol industry in the whole world. It is also expected that the alcohol industry in India from future will grow at a CAGR of 8.8% and reach 16.8 billion liters, expected to reach 16.8 billion liters by the year 2022. 16.8 billion consumption by the year 2022. In addition to consumption of whiskey, the preference for vodka and wine is also increasing, which is increasing at a rate of CAGR 21.8 for wine and CAGR 22.8 for vodka. So what we understand is that India is the largest consumer of whiskey in the world, and it constitutes about 60% of IMFL market. One of the research also suggests that almost half of the adults across the world will consume alcohol by 2030. 2030 तक आधी population पूरे वर्ल्ड की अल्कोहल कंज्यूम करेगी. उसमें से quarter of them, 50% of quarter will be binge drinkers. Binge drinkers वो होते हैं जो एक टाइम पे 60 ग्राम या 60 ग्राम से ज़्यादा लेते हैं. So इस सब से हमें ये समझ आया that the alcohol industry in India is the fastest growing. All over India, even all over the world, the alcohol consumption is increasing. I have shared some facts and figures with you, which also tells us that the same thing. So जब alcohol industry बढ़ेगी, it will also have an impact on container glass manufacturing industries. जो कंपनीज कंटेनर ग्लासेस, कंटेनर बॉटल्स बनाती है अल्कोहल इंडस्ट्री के लिए, उनका बिजनेस भी पॉजिटिवली इम्पैक्ट होगा. बिकॉज अल्कोहल की अगर सेल बढ़ेगी तो बॉटल्स की सेल बढ़ेगी, एंड बॉटल्स की सेल के साथ बॉटल्स की सेल के साथ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ ग्लास कंटेनर्स वाली कंपनी को भी फायदा होगा. Now this was all about the growth in the alcohol industry. Now let us talk about another industry with which the glass industry is linked, that is the FMCG industry. Growth of FMCG industry is also important because the bottles, the containers used by the FMCG industry are being produced by Haldane Glass Limited or such related companies. So when talking about the FMCG industry, FMCG sector is the fourth largest sector in the Indian economy, out of which households and personal care accounts for 50% of the FMCG sector. The urban sector constitutes 55% of the total FMCG sector. However, during the past few years, rural India has grown at a faster pace as compared to the urban sector. In the third quarter of financial year 20, in rural India, FMCG witnessed a double-digit growth recovery of 10.6% due to various government initiatives such as packed staples and hygiene categories, high agriculture produce, reverse migration, and a lower employment rate. In addition to that, the government has allowed 100% foreign direct investment in food processing and single brand retail and 51% in multi-brand retail. The sector has also witnessed heavy FDI inflows of $17.8 billion from April 2000 to September 2020. So from all this, we understand that the FMCG sector is the fourth largest in the whole world. It is a growing sector in which both urban sector and rural sector are contributing. The governments are also taking some initiatives for the growth of this sector. Now let us understand some of the government initiatives in detail. On November 11, 2020, the Union Cabinet approved the Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Now, as per this Production Linked Incentive Scheme, certain industries which are in FMCG sector, they will be getting some incentive of production being done by them. In addition to that, the Government of India has also approved 100% FDI in single brand retail along with 51% FDI in multi-brand retail. That means the government is also making all the initiatives for growth of the FMCG sector. The government has also drafted a new consumer protection bill with special emphasis on setting up an extensive mechanism to ensure simple, speedy, accessible, affordable and a timely delivery of justice to the consumers. It means if anything is gone wrong with the customers, then as per this protection bill, they can get the justice in a speedy and timely manner. So this is for the protection of the consumers in the FMCG industry and indirectly for the growth of the FMCG industry. Then there is an additional GST benefit which was given by the government, which also signifies that government is positive for the growth of the FMCG sector. Many of the FMCG products such as soap, toothpaste and hair oil are now coming under the tax rate of 18%, which was earlier coming at a tax rate of 23 to 24%. Further, GST on certain food products have also reduced to 0 to 5% as compared to 12 to 18%. So all these initiatives taken by the government signifies that the government is positive with the growth of FMCG sector in the industry and it is taking all the possible steps to grow for the growth of the FMCG industry. Now let us see how we see an FMCG industry in future. The rural FMCG market in India is expected to grow to $220 billion by 2025 from $23.6 billion in financial year 18. So as compared to 18, if we see an analysis has been done which is assumed that it will grow manifold, approximately 10 times by 2025 as compared to 2018. So it shows that the FMCG sector has been growing at a faster rate and rural India FMCG sector is also growing at a very faster rate. With the share of unorganized sector in the market sector following, the unorganized sector growth is expected to rise with the increased level of brand consciousness augmented by the growth in modern retail. We have seen that the share of unauthorized sector has been falling, but with the increased level of brand consciousness, the unorganized sector will also start growing and also catch up the pace along with the other sectors of FMCG. Increasing demand for the food services due to growing young population and due to time constraints which barely gets time for cooking is also one of the positive factor which will lead to growth of the FMCG sector. Further, technology is also one of the biggest support for growth of the FMCG sector. Like in today's world, internet is the biggest advantage which these kind of companies is having. Because of the internet accessibility to every person in urban and rural India, the growth of this sector has also increased because everything can be ordered through your mobile phones or laptops, which also indirectly contributes to the growth of the FMCG industries in India. Now this is all about the FMCG industry. With all the facts and figures and with all the government initiatives which are being taken by the government, we understand that FMCG industry is growing at a faster rate, which includes both the urban sector FMCG industries and the rural sector FMCG industries. Now we understand that when the FMCG industries will grow, they will be requiring the containers to pack the products and companies like Haldane Glass Limited will be benefit. So we can conclude that the growth of Haldane Glass Limited and other related companies which are engaged in the manufacture of glass containers and FMCG industry is directly correlated. If the FMCG sector is growing, then such companies, glass container manufacturing companies will also grow. Now, in the same manner, now let us analyze the other sector which can directly impact the growth of the glass manufacturing companies. The other sector which we are going to analyze is the pharma sector. Now let's move to the pharma sector. Now when we talk about pharma, it becomes very important to talk about the current situation in India and all over the world due to the corona pandemic which is prevalent in all over India. We know that corona has made a huge impact on the economy, on the India, on the environment, and it is increasing day by day. So due to this corona also, the demand in the pharma sector has increased. People are more dependent on medicine these days, and with the increase in dependency of pharma sector, people have also increased the consumption of medicines, and with the increased consumption of medicines, the demand for vials, that is the container glasses which are being manufactured by companies like Haldane Glass and other related companies, has also increased significantly. But we also know that corona will not be staying forever and it will get over very soon. But still, the change in people's lifestyle, change in people's culture, like in the previous part of the video discussed about the increase in the alcohol sector, liquor sector. So when the dependence of people on liquor sector were increased, so we can very well assume that due to dependence on liquor, which is injurious to health, which is harmful to the health, the dependency on pharmaceutical sectors will also increase. So let us take some of the facts, figures on the table in front of you so that you can understand what are the growth prospects in the pharma sector and how it will directly impact the business of container glass industries. In this case, Haldane Glass Limited. So let us talk about some facts and figures. If you know that India ranks third worldwide for the pharmaceutical production by volume it is the third worldwide, and 14th by value. So these are huge figures in for India, that India is third worldwide for pharmaceuticals production by volume and 14th by value. With a strong network of around 3,000 drug companies and 10,500 manufacturing units. India is also the largest provider of generic drugs globally. To add into that, pharmaceutical sectors supply over 50% of the global demand for various vacancies. 40% of generic demand in US and 25% of the all medicine in UK. So these are huge figures that India is catering to a huge demand in US and UK and all over the world. We should also know that overall 80% of the medicine to combat a deadly disease, that is AIDS, are supplied by Indian pharmaceutical firms. More than 80% are supplied by Indian firms to fight that deadly disease, that is AIDS, in all over the world. Indian pharmaceutical sector is expected to grow to US $100 billion by the year 2025. So this is a big figure that by 2025, pharmaceutical sector will grow at a greater pace. As per the previous records, export in India was 16.3 billion US dollar in financial year 20. In this year itself, up till now, we have reached a export of 15.86 US billion dollars. So we have almost completed our exports done in the previous year, and we are almost there. And due to corona, we also know that exports are increasing, and pharma sector at this point of time is the major sector which is growing. You should also know that pharmaceutical market sales turnover has increased at a rate of 9.8% from 129 lakhs crores in 2018 to 1.4 lakhs crores in 2019. So by all these facts and figures, we understand that pharma sector is a growing sector due to the current pandemic also, and due to the lifestyle changes of the population also, because people are more dependent on a rough lifestyle, they are more dependent on the liquor sector, and due to the dependency on liquor sector, there is an increase in the pharma sector, and indirectly due to increase in the liquor sector, indirectly due to an increase in the pharma sector, the demand for the glass bottles in which liquor or the pharmaceuticals are packed are also increasing, which increases the scope for companies like Haldane Glass Limited and other related companies in this field. Now let's talk about the government initiatives taken by the government in this sector for the development of this sector. Unlike the liquor sector, in pharma sector, we find a huge number of initiatives taken by the government for development of this sector. Let us talk about them one by one. In November 2020, the Honorable Prime Minister of India dedicated two future-ready national premier Ayurvedic institutions on the celebration of 5th Ayurvedic Day. Means a new two ready national premier Ayurvedic institutions were opened in November 2020 by the Prime Minister. This was the recent initiative. Before that, in October 15, 2020, India and Netherlands unveiled plan to collaborate with an aim to provide digital health facilities and securities to all the citizens. Means there is a collaboration between India and Netherlands to provide digital services all over the nation and to all the citizens. In September 2020, the government announced production linked incentive scheme for pharmaceutical industry worth rupees 15,000 crores, that is 2.04 billion US dollars. So government is taking all the initiative to increase this sector. Government is all taking all the steps to increase this sector and to promote this sector, because this is very important sector as a backbone, working as the backbone of the economy. Then India plans to set up a nearly 1 lakh crores fund to provide boost to the companies to manufacture pharmaceutical ingredients domestically by 2023. What does that mean? कि इंडिया ने एक फंड अलग से सेपरेट किया है विच अमाउंट्स टू 1 लाख करोड़ to boost the companies for manufacture of the pharmaceuticals, for manufacture of the drugs in India only, and the target date is 2023. Another initiative taken by the government was that in November 2019, the government extended the policy of pharmaceutical purchase policy, and this policy was basically meant for purchasing the pharmaceuticals produced by the and PSUs in India. We also know that government is proposing the unwinding of all the PSUs, but the government extended this purchase policy so that the pharmaceutical companies, the PSUs which are in this sector, can utilize their resources, can utilize their machinery till the time they are not unwinded. Means government is taking every initiative to promote the PSUs and to promote the pharma sector in India. In addition to that, which we have discussed right now, in Union Budget 2020-21, rupees 65,000 crores has been allocated to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The government has allocated rupees 34,000 crores towards the National Health Mission, under which rural and urban people will get benefited. So government is taking every step for supporting the pharma sector, for supporting the rural sector, pharma sector, and the urban sector, pharma sector also. In addition to that, rupees 6,400 crores has been allocated to the health insurance scheme, that is the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Additionally, as per the economic survey done in 2019-20, the government expenditure increased to 1.6% in financial year 20 from 1.2% in financial year 2015. The National Health Protection Scheme is the largest government funded healthcare program in the world, which is expected to benefit 100 million poor families in the country by providing a cover up to rupees 5 lakhs per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization. The program was announced in Union Budget 2018-19. In addition to that, a very important initiative taken by the government was the introduction of the Pharma Vision 2020 to make India a global leader in end-to-end drug manufacture. Approval time for new facilities has been reduced to boost investment in this sector, and as is in this policy also. The government is bringing new policies for the development of this sector. Last but not the least, Government of India has offered rupees 6940 crores production link incentive scheme between 5 to 20% for incremental sales, and plans to set up 3 mega drug parks to drive sustainable cost competitiveness. So government is taking huge amount of initiatives for development of the pharma sector, and by this we can see that pharma sector is having a great future in India, and pharma sector is going to grow in India, that is for sure. Now let us understand that where we see pharma sector from in the next few coming years. What is the road ahead for the pharma sector? May please note that medicine spending in India is projected to grow at a rate of 9 to 12% over the next 5 years, leading India to become one of the top 10 countries in the terms of medicine spending. By all the initiatives taken by the government, we are going to grow at a rate of 9 to 12% over the next 5 years, and we will be becoming one of the 10th countries in the terms of medicine spending. So all these initiatives taken by the government help us conclude that the future of the pharma sector is very great in the coming years, and if the future of pharma sector is bright in the coming years, then we can say that indirectly it will be also creating a demand for the container glass industries, and also for the company which we are talking in this analysis, that is the Haldane Glass Limited, and other companies as well which are dealing in this sector. Now let us talk about some recent developments, recent investment in pharma sector. I'll be discussing one or two. There are many, but I'll be discussing one or two which is relevant in this case. In October 2020, 6 generic drug makers, which included Dr. Reddy's, Zydus Cadila, Glenmark, Torrent Pharmaceuticals, Hetero Drugs, and Acromen Pharma, signed an agreement and contract with the state of Mexico to establish a large pharmaceutical cluster for production and logistics in Mexico. Now, why I am discussing this? Because one of the company which is involved in this cluster, that is Zydus Cadila, is also the client of Haldane Glass Limited, to which it supplies bottles and vials. So when the business of Zydus Cadila will increase, and when the business of Zydus Cadila will reach international boundaries, it will surely help the Haldane Glass Limited also. Another recent development which held in the past was that affordable medicines under the Pradhan Mantri Bharat Jana Aushadhi Pariyojana achieved global recorded turnover of 52 crores in the month of April 2020. There was a yojana being run by the government in which a record sale of 52 crores have been observed, which is a very huge figure for the development of this pharma sector. Means government is taking every initiative and it is working very well. Now, these were some of the growth prospects in the pharma sector, some of the initiatives taken by the government, and some of the recent investments or initiatives taken in this sector. Now, let's talk about some of the figures. What we understand is that revenue from the Indian pharmaceutical sector has grown from 15.53 US dollars in 2015 and has grown to 20.03 US dollars in 2019. When we talk about the sector composition and the R&D investment by the Indian pharma industries, that has also increased as a percent of sale. Earlier, the amount spent on R&D investment was 5.3% as a percentage of sale. Now it has increased to 8.4% as a percentage of sale in 2020. Means companies are also making investments on R&D for growing their businesses, for growing this sector. Now let's talk about some pharmaceutical exports. The exports have also increased from 16.9 US billion dollar in 2016 to 18.1 US billion dollar in 2021. If we talk about the government expenditure, that has also increased from 23.6 US billion dollar in financial year 16 to 46 US billion dollars in financial year 2020. Means almost double the expenditure has increased. The government expenditure has increased. So this was an analysis of these sectors to make you help to make an informed decision that whether an investment is to be made into the glass sector or not, on the basis of a complete detailed study of the glass sector, pharma sector, liquor sector, and the FMCG sector. Now let us move into certain more details about the company. This company, Haldane Glass Limited, is an ISO 9001-2000 certified and also ISO 14001-2004 certified. What is ISO 9001-2000? It is a ISO which is related to quality management. Means it ensures that all the products which are manufactured by the Haldane Glass Limited are of a particular quality and it cannot manufacture products which are below that quality. There are certain norms set for quality which it has to maintain. The other ISO, that is 14001-2004, is related to environmental management system. Means it needs to follow certain parameters, certain guidelines to maintain least impact on the environment. So these two ISOs keep a check on the quality of the products being maintained and also keep a check on the environmental impact this manufacturing industry is having. So Haldane Glass Limited has both these ISO certifications to ensure the best of quality and least of the impact on the environment. Now, as we have done the evaluation of the sectors and we have also considered a brief history of the Haldane Glass Limited, now let's do peer-to-peer comparison. How this company is as compared to its peers operating in the same field. What we found that there were 10-11 companies which are working in the glass sector, but as we know that Haldane Glass Limited is engaged in the manufacture of container glasses, so we need to see only those companies which are in the manufacture of container glasses only. We found out that apart from some unlisted companies, there are also some unlisted companies which are manufacturing container glasses in India. We have not considered those companies for our analysis, but apart from that, there are 4 companies which manufacture container glasses, including Haldane Glass Limited. To name those 4 companies, those are Borosil, which only competes in the manufacture of vials, means it has clients only in the pharma sector for the manufacture of bottles. Then the other company is Empire Industries. This company also competes with the manufacture of vials only, means this company also have clients only in the pharma sector. The third company is Hind National Glass, which is a company which competes with Haldane Glass Limited in all the sectors, means in the pharma sector, the liquor sector, FMCG and cosmetics. The business model of Hind National Glass Limited is similar to Haldane Glass Limited, but the other 2 companies only compete in the pharma sector. So the competition from the first 2 companies, that is the Borosil and Empire Industries, is less as compared to the Hind National Glass Limited. But we will be studying the fundamentals and the profit and loss of all the 4 companies to understand which is better and which is not. Now we did a comparative analysis of Hind National Glass, Haldane Glass, Empire Industries and Borosil, which has also been shown at your screen in front of you, we understood that if we see Haldane Glass Limited, it is having a negative PE, that is this company is running into losses. Another negative thing about this company is that almost 96.5% shares of this company are pledged. Means the shareholders have taken loan, have taken credit on the shareholdings they hold. This is a very negative thing when we talk about investment in some company, because if one company has pledged all his shares, almost all his shares, this means that they are short of funds and they are not able to run the business efficiently and properly. If we also talk about the EPS of Hind National Glass Limited, it is minus 31.04. So this signifies that this company is running into losses, and the competition with this company gets out of league because no one wants to invest in a company which is running into losses. So let us keep aside Hind National Glass Limited. Now let's move to Empire Industries Limited. The negative thing about Empire Industries is that it has a debt to equity ratio of 1.33. What it means is that if it is having an equity of 1 rupee, against that it is having a debt udhar of 1.33. So we should never invest in those companies who are having more of loan and less of self-made money. So Empire Industries is also kept aside, and we are left with the last company, Borosel. If we compare Borosel with Haldane Glass Limited, the company under review, we see that return on capital employed of Haldane Glass Limited is 11.83 and that of Borosel is 8.1. Then if we talk about debt to equity ratio, that is also less in Haldane Glass Limited, that is 0.04, and in Borosel it is 0.06. If we talk about the earning per share, it is 1.54 in Haldane Glass Limited, and in Borosel it is 1.15. Other parameters also play an important role. Now, as we have completed the peer-to-peer analysis, now let's move on to the complete fundamentals financials of this company. Now first, let's discuss the balance sheet. When we talk about Haldane Glass Limited, Haldane Glass Limited has a market cap of 164 crores. So this is a micro cap company, which is a very small company and have just started growing. It is having a stock PE of 19.7. In fundamental analysis, if we are having a PE of 0 to 10, it is a very low priced company. If the PE is from 10 to 20, it is fairly priced. 20-30 is good price, and above 30 is overpriced. So having a PE of 19.7 is a fairly priced company, and it is available at better valuations. The return on capital employed of this company is 11.8%. What this means is that if we employ 100 rupees as a capital, and you will get a return of 11.8. Now return on capital employed is a return on the entire capital, which is our money and the money which we have taken on loan. For example, if we have invested 100 rupees, out of which 80 rupees are from equity and 20 rupees are from debt, then the total return on 100 rupees is 11.8%. Now if we talk about return on our money, that is rupees 80, then that is 7.60%. This share is trading at a current market price of 30.4 and having a book value of 29.7. Now what is the relevance here? If the company winds up as on date, and if the company closes, then the minimum amount which we will get on selling of these shares is 29.7, and the CMP which we need to buy this share is 30.4. So there is not much difference. It is a difference of only paisas, that the risk on if the company gets closes is very minimum at this point of time. We will be getting the entire amount back. Earning per share we already discussed, it is 1.4. Promoter holding is 15.6%, out of which nothing has been pledged by this company. 15.67% is the promoter holding, and entire holding is kept by the promoters with themselves. They have not taken any loan on that. Means the promoters are confident about the operations of the company and about the future of the company. Now let's talk about profit and loss account first, then we will dive into the balance sheet. If we see that in March 2009, the total turnover of this company was 100 crores, which increased to 175 crores in March 2012 and further reduced to 141 crores in March 2016, which further increased in March 2019 to 223 crores and finally increased in March 2020 to 229 crores. So what we observed is that the top line or the turnover of this company is not that stable. It's increasing and decreasing. But if we talk about a comparison from 2009 to 2020, it has increased from 100 crores to 29 crores. But in between, there were certain hiccups, there were certain fluctuations which made the company turnover go up and down selectively. So we can conclude that the top line of this company is not that stable. Now, if we talk about the operating profit was 20 crores in March 2009, which increased to 42 crores in March 2013, then suddenly decreased and reduced up to 14 crores in March 2018, then which increased again to 26 crores in March 2019, and then 27 crores in March 2020. So in the same way as we observed in the top line, there has been ups and downs in the operating profit of this company, which shows that the top line of this company is bit unstable. But we also know that this is a very small company which is trying to grow, and it is in a good sector with having good fundamentals, which we just discussed. And these kinds of hiccups can be seen in a growing company. It's just a growing company. These are teething issues which we can say can occur to any company. Now let's talk about the earning per share. Its earning per share was 1.27 in the year March 2009, which increased to 4.10 in March 2013, which again decreased to 1.24 in March 2018 and increased again to 1.96 in March 2020. So in this case also we can see that there are fluctuations in earning per share, and that is obvious when the turnover, when the operating profits are fluctuating, then it is obvious that we can see fluctuations in the earning per share also and in the profit also. The trend of the profit is being shown on your screen, which we can easily see that profit is also going up and down. But if we do a year to year analysis of 2009 and 2020, it has certainly increased. Now let's talk about the balance sheet. This was all which we have discussed in the profit and loss account. Nothing else to be seen in a profit and loss account. Seeing this much information is enough for doing a fundamental analysis. Now moving to the balance sheet, we will talk about share capital. Share capital is the money which has been invested in the business by the shareholders. It was 5 crores in the year 2009, which has stayed constant in September 2020 to 5 crores. It has not increased, and this is a positive sign because the company does not require additional funds from the stakeholders, from the shareholders. It is managing its operations, it is managing its business from the money it earns from the operations and does not require anything from the owners, that is the shareholders. The reserves have been continuously increasing from 31 crores in 2009 to 155 crores in September 2020. The chart in front of you shows the increasing trend in the reserves. Now when we talk about reserve, we should also talk about the debt, that is the loan taken against the company. Because reserves in isolation does not play any important role, we want to see the reserves against the loans also. So when we are having a reserves of 155 crores, as on date we are having a long-term liability of 6 crores. So if as on date any of the long-term debt holders come to us for asking for their money, we can easily pay them their money because we are having 155 crores in our pockets and we just need to pay 6 crores. Then we also need to see the short-term liabilities and the current assets. Are the current assets sufficient enough to pay our current liabilities? Let us see that. Our other current assets amount to rupees 120 crores and the other liabilities which we need to pay within 1 year are only 37 crores. Means if the short-term liability holders come to us for getting their money, they can be easily paid because out of 120 crores, it is very easy to pay 37 crores. This was all about the balance sheet and the profit and loss account. Now let us talk about the cash flow statement. This is very important part of any fundamental analysis. We surely need to see the cash flow statement because it signifies that whether the company is able to generate money from its operations or not. If the company is not able to generate free cash flows from its operation, then how will it survive? But to my surprise, this is a very small company which is around 160-170 crores market cap. This company, being such a small company, is generating free cash flows from the operation itself. It generated a free cash flow of 18 crores in March 2020. Means it does not require to take money from as a loan. It does not require to take money from its shareholders. It can utilize the money which is generated by this company in its operations itself. So this is a very positive factor about the company. This company, being a very small company, is still generating positive cash flows. Now let us talk about some ratios. We have spoken about the cash flow statement. Let us talk about some ratios. If we talk about return on capital employed, it was 18% in 2009, which has reduced to 12% in March 2020. This is obvious because there were fluctuations in the top line of the company, the operational profit of the company, and the EPS of the company. But this company being such a small company and generating positive cash flows, this can be ignored if we just talk about the sector. But I'll be concluding this at the end of the video. Kindly stay tuned till the end of the video to know my investment decision. Then we talk about the debtor turnover days. What are debtor turnover days? That if a debtor takes 10 days in returning the money, then that is a debtor turnover ratio. In how much time we receive the money from the debtors, which was 54 days in March 2009 and which has increased to 86 days. So this is a slight negative for the company. The debtors are taking a delay in time for paying our dues. Now let us talk about the shareholding pattern. If we see that the promoters were holding 52% in March 2018, which has increased to 56.71% in December 2020. They have recently increased their stake from 52% to 56% in September 2019. This signifies that the promoters are positive about the operations of the company and are positive about the future of the company. That is why they are increasing the stake in this company. So this is a positive for the company. If we talk about the foreign institutional investors, they have also increased their stake, which was 0% in March 2018 and it is increased to 0.04% in December 2020. Means the foreign institutional investors are also taking an interest in the operations of the company, seeing that the company can be a good company in the future, because those are smart money. If they are investing, then they certainly might be investing due to a right cause. Now let us discuss about the annual report and the auditor's report. In the annual report, we will be picking up certain things which are important for the analysis. For example, the net worth as per the financials has increased and is at a positive 15,521 lakhs as compared to the previous financial year being 14,791 lakhs. So there has been an increase in the net worth of the company, which this information which we got is from the annual report. This is one of the important information we got from the annual report. We also need to see the auditor's report, whether the auditors have mentioned any adverse effect for the operations of the company or not. For that, we at least need to see the key audit matter paragraph and the emphasis of matter paragraph. During the review of key audit matter paragraph and the emphasis of matter paragraph, we found that nothing significant or nothing adverse have been posted or have been mentioned by the auditors which can be detrimental in the interest of the stakeholders of this company or for this company, which can be adverse for this company. Nothing adverse was found in the auditor's report as well. During the review of the annual report, we also found that this company has installed certain new compressors, installation of new gas burners, modification in shrink packing machine, and consumption of RO rejection water to reduce pumping. This company has introduced certain additional machinery for the working of these operations. This information you can get from the conservation of energy column of the annual report. This is also important, which signifies that the company is growing and making positive investments in machinery for its future. Now let us also talk about the CSR expenditures. CSR expenditures standalone does not affect our investing decision, but why I am adding this in this review is that the company has been doing CSR expenditure in the schools and colleges. They are giving school and colleges some benches, also helping the blind organization for donating money over there. But why I took this topic during the analysis is that earlier, when as per the law you need to spend at least 2% of the turnover for CSR expenditure, and if you didn't spend it, you have to mention the note that why you were not able to spend it. In this case also, the company was not able to spend the entire CSR expenditure and some rupees 8 lakhs were left unspent, for which it gave reasons that due to COVID it was not able to spend it. But now, as per the revised rules, you need to spend the entire amount of the CSR expenditure as per the law, and you cannot make any excuse for not spending it. Though this is a recent amendment in the law which took place 1-2 months ago, I thought of sharing this with you also because knowledge sharing is the best thing one can do. Now let us move to the last thing, which is also important doing fundamental analysis of a company. This was a part of notes of the annual report. As per note 33 of the annual report, which is related to contingent liabilities, an amount of 1200 lakhs is payable as contingent liability. Now what is contingent liability? Contingent liability is that liability which may or may not happen in future, which is not certain. So this is not provided in the books of account, but the company discloses it separately that maybe in future, if the cases or if the event turns in against the company, it have to pay this amount also. So we need to consider these payments also, because in future the company need to pay these expenses also. So this is also very important part of fundamental analysis. Now, as we have understood the fundamentals of the company, and we have also completed the study of sector-wise glass analysis and the sector-wise analysis of liquor, pharmaceutical and FMCG, we will be going to a conclusion after seeing the technicals. But till now, what we concluded is that glass sector is a very economical sector. It has least impact on the environment, it is a very recyclable product, and there is also a threat of entrance. Then all the three industries in which this particular company operates, that is the FMCG industry, the liquor industry and the pharma industry, are growing, and government is taking all the initiatives for its growth. The fundamentals of this company are somewhat like that the top line and the profit are not stable, but this company being a very small company, it is but obvious that the fundamentals and top lines may not be stable because of some teething issues. Then we talk about the cash flow statement. This company being a very small company is generating positive cash flow, that is a very positive thing. Then the promoters are also increasing their share, the FFIs and the DIs also increasing their share, which is also a positive part. Now sometimes you need to make an investment due to the sector in which you are investing. Glass sector, what I think, is a growing sector. The only threat is the threat of new entrants in this sector. So we can make an informed decision and we can make a limited decision in this sector, seeing the threat of new entrants also and seeing the positive of this sector also. So if we want to invest hard-earned money into this sector, we need to invest a minimum amount, keeping in view the both opportunities, the threats and the fundamentals of the company. But please make sure that this is our study, this is not any investment advice for you, it is just our analysis. You have to do your own analysis before making an investment decision. Now let us come to the last part of this video, whether I will invest in this company or not. Yes, I will invest in this company, seeing the future prospects of glass sector, the growth prospects of liquor industry, the FMCG industry and the pharmaceutical sector, and the client base which this company is having, and also the peer-to-peer comparison of this company with the other peers. Because this being one of the best companies as compared to the other peers, I will be investing a minimum amount which I will be taking as for an investment of 5 to 10 years, so that it has an ample time to growth. Now let us finally move to the technicals. Now this is the daily chart of Aldine Glass Limited. Now let us do a technical analysis of this, a quick technical analysis taking 1-2 minutes more. When we see the long-term chart of this company, the long-term chart of this company has been an uptrend till now. It started at around 11 rupees and it is around 30 rupees. But what we see that the chart is having is, after a downtrend, a short-term downtrend, the chart is having a major resistance. So this particular company is not a buy till the time it breaks a major resistance of 38 to 40 rupees. Till the time it does not break this, it is not a buy, because this is one of the major resistance which this stock is having. So if we also want to buy this stock, we need to wait for it to cross 40 rupees. So this was just the technical analysis which we need to see for investing purposes. So this is all I have for you today. The Powerhouse Ideas will be coming up more such power pack detailed analysis by Karan. Our knowledge, your learning. Keep following, share with your friends and family for together making a bigger tomorrow. Signing off, take care.